Hamilton's nightmare. Why does the Ferrari suck so? In 2024, the season ended with McLaren just beating Ferrari to the Constructors' title with 652 points to McLaren's 666. Not my favorite number, that 666, but Antichrist connections notwithstanding, I was giddy like a little schoolgirl about the 2025 season. Last year, before the rule changes, the OGs were hot, and a battle between McLaren, Ferrari and Max had me more excited than a pervert at a furry festival, but so far so bad. Yeah, my beloved papayas have kept up their end of the bargain. Max has been brilliant, his teammates have been present sometimes, but no Ferrari revival. No Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc battles for famous wins against Lando and Piastri. No Hunt versus Lauda repeats. Just another poor Ferrari performance. Even more disappointing than Lando's failure to match Max, never mind Oscar. Yes, Ferrari looked better at Imola, but still, are the Tifosi now relegated to having to cheer 4th place finishes? This is Ferrari, not Haas, for goodness sakes. But why indeed do they suck so? Aston Martin's explosion under Newey's genius is understood to be postponed for the new rules set in 2026. But the decline of the Italian stallions is much more unexpected after last season's performances. For goodness sakes, they didn't sign the statistical go-to plod around in 8th, did they? Notwithstanding the San Marino revival, what has been the little horse's biggest downfall so far this season? In my opinion, expectation. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, I know. But somehow Ferrari are almost Tottenham Hotspur-like in their ability to grab defeat from the jaws of victory. Remember a few years ago when Leclerc started so brilliantly and was setting the pace after 4 or 5 races, and then pretty much never saw anything other than the rear of Verstappen's Red Bull disappearing off into the distance again for the rest of that season and the next? Remember Vettel pushing the Mercs and then completely trailing off at the business end every time? Remember Alonso pushing Vettel and always ending up short? Ferrari are always expected to challenge by their fans, but rarely do. Add to that the arrival of slightly past his sell-by date Lewis Hamilton with a strong finish to last season, and Ferrari had the explosive mixture to promptly implode. And that's the beauty of Ferrari, because any second now they can get it right and improve dramatically, or not have tyres available for Leclerc to challenge for the rest of the race, having to put on inferior tyres after the safety car. It's the drama and the excitement, much again like my beloved Tottenham Hotspurs, always one small step from glory or catastrophe. To dare is to do at Ferrari as well, I guess. Technical issues. Now Ferrari have had more than emotional problems. They've also had some non-mental issues, including seeming to struggle finding the optimal ride height for the SF-25, which has a considerable impact at low and high speeds. This combined with the car's sensitivity to changes in the setup make it a tough car to set up. The setup sensitivity makes the car very reactive to even small setup changes, which could lead to difficulty in achieving consistency, which is something the team has struggled with very dramatically so far in 2025. As usual, strange strategies and mistakes have also played their part, particularly in China, where both cars were DQ'd for technical infringements from the main race after Hamilton won the sprint. Again highlighting the car's inconsistency, again also pointing to the ride height issue, since the cars were DQ'd for too much wear on the planks under the car, due to setting the car up too low, leading to it bottoming out. The car has not been outstanding in qualifying either, meaning that it doesn't even have that one lap speed that some of the other cars can muster. And more recently we've seen the likes of Williams moving up to challenge them, while Mercedes also seem to have the legs on the Ferrari. McLaren's pace has been surprising. We expected the papayas to be quick, but the way they started the season has been a bit of a shock. Red Bull have been carried by Max Verstappen's brilliance, but if you look at their second drivers, they've been nowhere near the McLarens either. The two Ferrari drivers have been relatively close in terms of results, showing that they may actually be getting all out of the car that there is to get. Rear end instability. While nowhere near the monster poor old Vettel had to drive in his final Ferrari year, the SF-25 seems to have suffered from rear end instability and lack of downforce so far this season. It seems that the rear suspension may be struggling to effectively translate downforce into usable grip, leading to a lazy rear end, which is terribly difficult to control at times. So the team may thus have been forced to maximize downforce to get the beast under control, which may lead to slower straight line pace. The lack of traction can also be at fault for some understeer in lower speed corners. It's also worth mentioning that Lewis Hamilton has spoken out about braking problems as well, which would obviously negatively impact race performance. He went on to say the car's braking problems were somewhat of a lottery before the recent race at Imola, and I quote, "It's a lottery. We'll roll the dice and you put one on, one pad that is, and it works. You put another on and it doesn't," end quote. Charles Leclerc was quoted to say, and I quote, "To go and take pole, honestly, I don't think we've got it in the car for now, but the race pace was strong, so that's positive," end quote. And they did show that pace at Imola, but still didn't even manage to get on the podium. Speaking about their chances at Monaco, Leclerc said, and I quote, "We're going to a track that will expose us to our weaknesses. Of course, there's always unpredictability, and the setups are different from those for any other circuit, so we hope to surprise ourselves as we did at Imola in the race," end quote. The inconsistency is thus expected to continue, unless the man has gotten more adept at some mind games, which he really hasn't done in the past. One of the reasons I actually like him. With Monaco notoriously difficult to overtake on, having in recent years become a bit of a train from lap 1 to the pit stops and then to the end. Oh, for some reason now I miss Jarno truly. Ferrari will be hoping to get the setup right and achieve a decent qualification. Meanwhile, testing continues to sort out the rear suspension according to Italian publication Corriere della Sera, with upgrades expected on the rear suspension for Silverstone. While the recent performances at Imola may have triggered the hopes of Hamilton and the Tifosi, pundit Jamie Chadwick believes that a Ferrari revival remains unlikely while they continue to show, and I quote, "a lack of understanding of what's fundamentally wrong with the car," end quote. And in that lies the crux of the team's struggle. While the upgrades at Imola did a decent job, the car still seems a much weaker version of last season's constructors runner-up, and they're even rumored to be bringing a 2024 spec rear wing to Monaco to see if it does a better job in stabilizing the car's rear than the one they have now. A bit of throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. All while Hamilton sees the limited time of his hoped-for revival at Ferrari riding off into the sunset with his dreams of matching Schumacher in what may have been the German's greatest achievement, becoming a dominant champion for Scuderia Ferrari. And so, the end of another video is reached. You know the drill. Here's where I shamelessly beg you to subscribe, comment and like, while you effortlessly ignore me and skip to the next video. God bless and goodbye.